Chapter 7. Now when Solomon's prayers were ended, fire came down from heaven, burning up all the offerings, and the house was full of the glory of the Lord. And the priests were not able to go into the house of the Lord, for the Lord's house was full of the glory of the Lord. And all the children of Israel were looking on when the fire came down, and the glory of the Lord was on the house. And they went down on their knees, with their faces to the earth, worshipping and praising the Lord, and saying, He is good, for His mercy is unchanging forever. Then the king and all the people made offerings before the Lord. King Solomon made an offering of 22,000 oxen, and 120,000 sheep. So the king and all the people kept the feast of the opening of the house of God. And the priests were in their places, and the Levites with their instruments of music for the Lord's song, which David the king had made for the praise of the Lord, whose mercy is unchanging forever, when David gave praise by their hand, and the priests were sounding horns before them, and all Israel were on their feet. Then Solomon made holy the middle of the open square in front of the house of the Lord, offering the burnt offerings there, and the fat of the peace offerings, for there was not room on the brass altar which Solomon had made for all the burnt offerings and the meal offerings and the fat. So Solomon kept the feast at that time for 7 days, and all Israel with him, a very great meeting, for the people had come together from the way into Hamath and from as far as the river of Egypt. And on the 8th day they had a holy meeting. The offerings for making the altar holy went on for 7 days, and the feast for 7 days. And on the 23rd day of the 7th month, he sent the people away to their tents, full of joy and glad in their hearts, because of all the good which the Lord had done to David and to Solomon and to Israel his people. So Solomon came to the end of building the house of the Lord and the king's house, and everything which it was in his mind to make in the house of the Lord and for himself had been well done. Now the Lord came to Solomon in a vision by night, and said to him, I have given ear to your prayer, and have taken this place for myself as a house where offerings are to be made. If, at my word, heaven is shut up, so that there is no rain, or if I send locusts on the land for its destruction, or if I send disease on my people, if my people, on whom my name is named, make themselves low and come to me in prayer, searching for me and turning from their evil ways, then I will give ear from heaven, overlooking their sin, and will give life again to their land. Now my eyes will be open and my ears awake to the prayers made in this place. For I have taken this house for myself and made it holy, so that my name may be there forever, and my eyes and my heart will be there at all times. And as for you, if you will go on your way before me as David your father did, doing whatever I have given you orders to do and keeping my laws and my decisions, then I will make strong the seed of your kingdom, as I gave my word to David your father, saying, You will never be without a man to be ruler in Israel. But if you are turned away from me, and do not keep my orders and my laws which I have put before you, but go and make yourselves servants to other gods, giving them worship, then I will have this people uprooted out of my land which I have given them, and this house, which I have made holy for my name, I will put away from before my eyes, and make it an example and a word of shame among all peoples. And this house will become a mass of broken walls, and everyone who goes by will be overcome with wonder, and will say, Why has the Lord done so to this land and to this house? And their answer will be, Because they were turned away from the Lord, the God of their fathers, who took them out of the land of Egypt, and took for themselves other gods and gave them worship and became their servants. That is why he has sent all this evil on them, of Israel, to make living places for themselves there. And Solomon went to Hamath-zobah and overcame it. And he put up the buildings of Tadmor in the wasteland, and of all the store towns in Hamath, and of Beth-horon the higher and the lower, walled towns with walls and doorways and locks, and of Baalath, and all the store towns which Solomon had, and the towns where he kept his war carriages and his horsemen, and everything which it was his pleasure to put up in Jerusalem and in Lebanon and in all the land under his rule. As for all the rest of the Hittites and the Amorites and the Perizzites and the Hivites and the Jebusites, who were not of Israel, their men who were still living in the land, and whom the children of Israel had not put an end to, these Solomon put to forced work, as is done to this day. But Solomon did not make use of the children of Israel as servants for his work. They were men of war, his chiefs and his captains, and captains of his war carriages and his horsemen. Now these were the chief men in authority whom King Solomon had, 250 of them, in authority over the people. Then Solomon made Pharaoh's daughter come up from the town of David to the house which he had made for her, for he said, I will not have my wife living in the house of David, king of Israel, because those places where the ark of the Lord has come are holy. Then Solomon made burnt offerings to the Lord on the altar of the Lord which he had put up in front of the covered way, offering every day what had been ordered by Moses, on the Sabbaths and at the new moon and at the regular feasts 3 times a year, that is at the feast of unleavened bread, the feast of weeks, and the feast of tents. And he gave the divisions of the priests their places for their work, as ordered by his father David, and to the Levites he gave their work of praise and waiting on the priests, to do what was needed day by day, and he gave the doorkeepers their places in turn at every door, for so David, the man of God, had given orders. All the orders given by the king to the priests and Levites, in connection with any business or stores, were done with care. And all the work of Solomon was complete, from the day when he put the base of the Lord's house in position, till Solomon had come to the end of building the Lord's house. Then Solomon went to Ezion-Geber and to Eloth by the sea in the land of Edom. And Hiram sent him, by his servants, ships and experienced seamen, who went with the servants of Solomon to Ophir and came back with 450 talents of gold, which they took to King Solomon. Chapter 9. Now the queen of Sheba, hearing great things of Solomon, came to Jerusalem to put his wisdom to the test with hard questions, and with her came a very great train, and camels weighted down with spices, and great stores of gold and jewels. And when she came to Solomon she had talked with him of everything in her mind. And Solomon gave her answers to all her questions, there was no secret which he did not make clear to her. And when the queen of Sheba had seen the wisdom of Solomon, and the house which he had made, and the food at his table, and all his servants seated there, and those who were waiting on him in their places, and their robes, and his wine servants in their robes, and the burnt offerings which he made in the house of the Lord, there was no more spirit in her. And she said to the king, the account which was given to me in my country of your acts and your wisdom was true. But I had no faith in what was said about you, till I came and saw for myself, and truly, word was not given me of half your great wisdom. You are much greater than they said. Happy are your wives and happy these your servants whose place is ever before you, hearing your words of wisdom. Praise be to the Lord your God whose pleasure it was to put you on the seat of his kingdom to be king for the Lord your God, because, in his love for Israel, it was the purpose of your God to make them strong forever. He made you king over them, to be their judge in righteousness. And she gave the king 120 talents of gold, and a great store of spices and jewels. Never had such spices been seen as the queen of Sheba gave to Solomon. And the servants of Hiram and the servants of Solomon, in addition to gold from Ophir, came back with sandalwood and jewels. And with the sandalwood the king made steps for the house of the Lord and for the king's house, and instruments of music for the makers of melody. Never before had such been seen in the land of Judah. And King Solomon gave the queen of Sheba all her desire, whatever she made request for, in addition to what she had taken to the king. So she went back to her country with her servants. Now the weight of gold which came to Solomon in 1 year was 666 talents, and in addition to what he got from traders of different sorts, all the kings of Arabia and the rulers of the country gave gold and silver to Solomon. And King Solomon made 200 body covers of hammered gold, every one having 600 shekels of gold in it. And he made 300 smaller body covers of hammered gold, using 300 shekels of gold for every cover, and the king put them in the house of the woods of Lebanon. Then the king made a great ivory seat, plated with the best gold. There were 6 steps up to it, and a footrest of gold fixed to it, and arms on the 2 sides of the seat, with 2 lions at the side of the arms. And 12 lions were placed on one side and on the other side on the 6 steps. There was nothing like it in any kingdom. All King Solomon's drinking vessels were of gold, and all the vessels of the house of the woods of Lebanon were of the best gold. No one gave a thought to silver in the days of Solomon, for the king had Tarshish ships sailing with the servants of Hiram. Once every 3 years the Tarshish ships came back with gold and silver, ivory and monkeys and peacocks. And King Solomon was greater than all the kings of the earth in wealth and in wisdom. And all the kings of the earth came to see Solomon and to give ear to his wisdom, which God had put into his heart. And everyone took with him an offering, vessels of silver and vessels of gold, and robes, and coats of metal, and spices, and horses and beasts for transport, regularly year by year. Solomon had 4,000 buildings for his horses and his war carriages, and 12,000 horsemen whom he kept, some in the carriage towns and some with the king in Jerusalem. And he was ruler over all the kings from the river to the land of the Philistines, as far as the limit of Egypt. The king made silver as common as stones in Jerusalem and cedars like the sycamore trees of the lowlands in number. They got horses for Solomon from Egypt and from every land. Now the rest of the acts of Solomon, first and last, are they not recorded in the history of Nathan the prophet, and in the words of Ahijah the prophet of Shiloh, and in the visions of Iddo the seer about Jeroboam, the son of Nebat? Solomon was king over Israel and Jerusalem for 40 years. And Solomon went to rest with his fathers, and was put into the earth in the town of David his father, and Rehoboam his son became king in his place.